All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, look, as we all know, the NFL trade deadline is quickly approaching. It's November 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern, just a couple weeks from now. So, in this one, I wanted to ask the simple question, will the New York Jets be sellers at the trade deadline? For me, I think the next two games are going to play a huge role, a huge factor in whether or not the Jets are going to be sellers or standing pat at the deadline. Currently, we're 1-4, but this weekend, we have the New England Patriots. It's a massive divisional rivalry game. If the Jets come out on top, all of a sudden, we're in second place in the AFC East the week following, or the following game, I should say. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. A great team, and we're playing that game in MetLife. So if the Jets can go 2-0, all of a sudden we're in second place in the division and we're 3-4, knocking down two teams in the AFC. If Zach Wilson is rolling, right, if he's putting up great numbers, if he's finding guys like Jamison Crowder, like Denzel Mims, two guys that the Jets haven't really utilized, there's been a lot of trade speculation with both of those players. I feel like, hey, maybe Joe Douglas would want to stand pat, pass on trading some of these pieces away, and move forward and see how the season plays out. But here's the deal, okay? As Jets fans, we know how Joe Douglas likes to operate, how he likes to run his organization as a general manager. He is not afraid to trade players. We've seen him deal Jamal Adams, Steve McClendon, Sam Darnold, Avery Williamson. He will trade players to accumulate more draft capital. He loves himself some draft picks, okay? Now, of course, a lot of them have not worked out. A lot of them have really not panned out. P. Ryan, James Morgan, Zuniga. There's a lot of players there, okay, specifically at that in the 2020 class, but Joe Douglas loves to accumulate draft picks. He wants to rebuild this team from the ground up. And we take a look at 2022, at all the draft picks that we have, it's almost mind-blowing, okay? We have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 1 third, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and a 6th. And we can still possibly get more. So knowing what we know about Joe Douglas and this Jets organization, let's just assume for a second that they will be sellers. To me, I think there's only 3 players that hold real weight that realistically, or four players if you want to include CJ Mosley, but I don't see the Jets really parting ways with Mosley, but 3 realistic players that I could see being dealt. Number 1, Marcus May. It just seems like everybody thinks these two parties will go their separate ways sooner rather than later. Joe Douglas has shown no urgency to sign Marcus May for the long term. It just doesn't seem like the Jets value Marcus at all. It doesn't really feel like he has a long-term fit within this defense. And then from Marcus's point of view, obviously he's coming off of his best season 2020, but you have his agent tweeting stuff. It seemed like Marcus really wanted to be here. He did not want to be franchise tagged. So it looks like Marcus kind of wants to start over somewhere else, and frankly, I don't blame him at all. So it looks like these two parties are just destined to split up at some point in time, whether it's the trade deadline or after the season. But I'll say this. If Marcus May is not in the long-term plans, if that's a fact, then we have to deal him at the deadline. We cannot have another Robbie Anderson situation where a young, productive player hits the market, he signs elsewhere in free agency, and we get nothing. That's the absolute worst case scenario, okay? So in other words, if Marcus May is here on the Jets after the trade deadline, I'm assuming he's going to be here for the following year as well, because we cannot have another productive player hit the market, walk, and then we're just left with nothing to show for it. So that's that with Marcus May. It just seems like the writing is on the wall. The second player, Jamison Crowder. Now, he's really interesting, okay, because he's 28 years old, he's still in his prime, he's put together a really solid NFL career, he fits the offensive system, he actually took a pay cut this offseason to stay with the Jets. I mean, we talk about it all the time, players wanting to play for the Jets. Actions speak louder than words. Crowder stepped up and took a pay cut, a huge pay cut. But he's set to hit the open market this offseason, and it just doesn't really seem like the Jets want to bring him back. Obviously, pretty disappointing numbers so far. Only played in 2 games, 11 catches. Pretty good number there, but only 85 yards, 1 touchdown grab, and we essentially drafted his replacement in Elijah Moore. Okay, but here's the weird thing. It's like we don't target Jamison Crowder or Elijah Moore, so kind of contradictory there, and I guess that's beside the point. Point is, it doesn't really seem like Jamison Crowder is going to be signing another multi-year contract with the Jets at any point in the future. It looks like he's going to be destined to be playing for somebody else in the near future. So with the trade deadline approaching, unless Zach Wilson and Jamison Crowder develop some sort of magical chemistry over the next couple of games, I could very well see Crowder being dealt at the deadline. So the third player on this list, I gotta be honest with you, it pains me to say it. It really does kill me to say this. But it's wide receiver Denzel Mims. And we just said the saying before, actions speak louder than words. That also rings true here. We hear it every week. Denzel Mims is coming off of a great week of practice. He's in the long-term plans of this franchise. He's improving. He's learning the offense. He's getting healthy. Joe Douglas is turning away. He's shying away from trade interest out there. But yet, on Sunday, when it matters, game day, he's either inactive, not dressed, or doesn't get an opportunity. And it's not like it's not like we're the Chiefs. Okay, it's not like we're the Bills. It's not like we're, some of these teams out there that have absolutely loaded and productive wide receiver cores. This group, although I really, really like them, we're not getting a ton of production. The problems with this football team lie on the offensive side of the football. We are not getting open. We are dropping passes. Zach Wilson is throwing behind guys. He's overthrowing guys. To me, I feel like, again, we're in week 7 here. It's time to shake things up and get Denzel Mims out in the field. But it really does seem like this Jets coaching staff is forcing Mims into the corner of the room and saying, look, you don't fit the offense. You don't have the necessary skill set to fit this offense. Therefore, you're not going to get a chance. You're not going to get an opportunity to prove yourself on the field. Corey Davis is locked up on a multi-year deal. Keelan Cole signed a 1-year contract by this staff. Elijah Moore was just drafted, and Braxton Berrios seems to get all the attention. So we don't have enough. There's not enough snaps to go around. You're at the bottom of the depth chart. So the Jets are saying one thing, but they're doing another. If the right trade offer comes in, I could see Joe Douglas and this Jets organization pulling the trigger and moving Denzel Mims. And frankly, I would love to see Mims flourish elsewhere. I would love to see him in the green and white, but I mean, in order for that to happen, he needs to line up on Sunday, and it just doesn't seem like he's going to be given that chance. So I want to see Denzel Mims succeed. And look, if the Jets can also get, recoup something nice, a 3rd-round pick or whatever it may be, then so be it. But those are the 3 players right now. And we talked a little bit about CJ Mosley before. I just don't see CJ being moved at this point, even though I feel like we can get a nice piece for him. I want to see CJ here. I want to see CJ fulfill his contract, right? I don't want to see Mosley moved. Okay, so let's talk about some teams that I could see these players going to. Let's talk about Marcus May first. Now, there has been some trade interest around the league. The 2 teams mentioned, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the LA Rams. Both teams make a lot of sense for Marcus. Both are win now. Both can pay him. Both don't mind using him as a 1-year rental, and both teams will give up some solid draft capital. So either one of those teams I would be completely fine with. With Jamison Crowder, two NFC North teams, the Chicago Bears, they have a young quarterback. They really, really like the short passing game. That's where Crowder excels. So you go get Justin Fields a weapon. And then with Green Bay, I mean, obviously much like the Bucs and the Rams, they're a win now team. They can use all the help that they can get. What good is a 4th-round pick? What good is a 5th-round pick to them in exchange for a guy like Jamison Crowder, a guy who can step in immediately and do damage on 3rd downs in the red zone? Aaron Rodgers makes everybody better. We talked about it before. Crowder's 28 years old. He's not some 35-year-old vet. No, Crowder, 28, still in his prime. He can still make a lot of noise. As far as Denzel Mims is concerned, I don't mean for this to sound facetious or petty or anything like that, but half the league. I think half the league would have legitimate interest in bringing Denzel Mims aboard. He is everything. He is size, speed, hands, red zone threat. He can work over the middle of the field off of play action. He's young. He is cheap. Tons of production at Baylor. Solid rookie season. So much room to grow. I mean, I could literally see half the league having some sort of interest in Denzel Mims. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He's so young. So much room to grow. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If I didn't mention somebody that you think could possibly be traded, I would love to hear it. I can't wait to kind of talk about it. And a lot of these guys too, like Sheldon Rankins and Quinnen, I see these guys being here for a while. Maybe Fadakasi, but given how he's played so far in the solid defense, I want to keep Foley. I want to keep Foley around for the long haul. I think he's a really, really good player. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, go Jets.